Coverage continues with Local 10 News anchor Louis Aguirre.
Now, Louis is live at the port of Palm Beach. He just returned on a cruise ship that was delivering relief supplies to Freeport. Louis, what can you tell us about what you've seen over the last 2 days?
Oh, just sheer and utter devastation. But I want to say that this cruise ship did more than just deliver relief supplies. They actually evacuated 1,100 Bahamians that were on this ship right now, evacuated from Grand Bahama. Some very happy people. And when you take into account the devastation that we experienced yesterday on Grand Bahama, you can see why. There are approximately 70,000 homeless people both on Grand Bahama and the Abacos. There is nothing. There is no running water. There is no electricity. Food and water are hard to come by still, almost a week after. So they were very, very happy to be granted passage, free passage on board this ship. So really hats off and so much gratitude for Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line and this, the grand celebration. And not just that, but this cruise line also was able to bring with them to Grand Bahama Bahamians that were desperate to get home.
It feels great to be back home.
They do not know what devastation they will find, but they are happy to at last be home.
We said we gotta go home. To whatever is left of our homes and the Bahamas, we want to be there.
Dozens of Grand Bahamians able to hitch a free ride back to their hurricane-ravaged island thanks to Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line, which turned their ship, the Grand Celebration, into a massive floating relief vessel.
We call this the Ship of Hope, and I think it brings the hope and empathy and support to Grand Bahama.
On board, more than 500 volunteers, most from South Florida, first responders, doctors, nurses, everyday people carrying tons of aid, food and water for thousands who so desperately need it.
9-4, medical emergency.
We have a lot of Bahamians that had baby in the States.
The desperation palpable at the port. Word had spread. The first cruise ship since Dorian had at last docked at Freeport, and they were offering a free ride back to South Florida. The crowd's growing in number. There's only room for 1,500. First come, first served.
People are becoming very aggressive. Tempers are starting to flare, and it's really becoming out of control. This is why the lady said that they're not taking any more names anymore.
Among them, we found Sharon Matthew, a nurse from Fort Lauderdale, who came in for a funeral last weekend and has spent days just trying to get home.
Seeing so many people struggling and fighting and hungry and hot, you know, it's a lot.
We followed the relief convoy and first responders' hot meals at last handed out at this high school turned shelter.
Wonderful, wonderful.
The further east we go, the worse the devastation gets. This neighborhood, from what I understand, was under 12 to 14 feet of water. That is the massive storm surge that impacted this area of the island. This has been a water event. This family and their 2 dogs rode out the storm for 36 hours in the attic when the massive storm surge sent the sea gushing into their home. You guys were up there for 36 hours?
Yes, sir.
There is nothing. You don't have anything here.
But amidst the sadness and devastation, hope and gratitude, the world is watching and paying attention, resolved to helping these people in any way possible. And that was one of the things that was most palpable about our day yesterday on Grand Bahama, just the enormous gratitude they felt that the world is stepping up and helping them, the enormous gratitude they felt for the people on board this cruise ship and this cruise line that made so much happen yesterday. And let me tell you something. A lot of the Bahamians that we spoke with that are on board the ship right now, they say they're going to come to South Florida for a couple of days. They're going to catch their breath, enjoy as many hot showers as they can, as many hot meals as they can, but they're coming back with building materials, and they're going to help rebuild Grand Bahama and their homeland, and they know that the Bahamas will come back. They are strong, resilient people, and a people of beautiful spirit. We're live on board the Grand Celebration in the port of Palm Beach. Louis Aguirre, Local 10 News.
They certainly are. Louis, you saw you guys brought a lot of people over with you. How many did you leave behind?
Well, you know, the problem is that not everybody who was at the port had the proper documentation. They had to have a valid Bahamian passport. They had to have proof that they had no criminal record. So not everyone who was on that port was able to get on the ship. We don't have any estimates of how many people were jockeying for position on the ship. We knew that the ship had potentially room for 1,500, but only 1,100 made it on the ship yesterday.
Yeah, documentation is so important, but so many people lost everything they had. Louis Aguirre live. Thank you so much.
Yeah.